What's up, gents? DirtBag Gaming here, the channel for casual raiders. We are going over a four-part series. We're at part 3 now. So if you haven't seen the attack or the support type gear, go check that out after this video. But I appreciate you clicking on the video. If you guys aren't subscribed, we're at 1,000 subscribers. DirtBag Nation, appreciate all the followers. We have a Discord as well, which we give away account takeovers, free gear, all that stuff, free accounts as well. So that's going to be pretty cool. So join that as well. But this guide, if you clicked on it, it's really what gear to invest into for defensive type champions, which is one of the most sought after champions in the game because they help you out literally everywhere. There's a lot of them. They're all pretty good, honestly. Even the rares all the way up to the legendaries, even some uncommons are pretty good when it comes to defensive type champions. Let's pull out one actually just so we can go over it. This guy right here. So one of the best uncommons in the game happens to be a defensive type champion that we can use really a lot of different places in a Relentless set. So we're going to go over a bunch of different sets that I really suggest you can start investing to or saving up for your middle/end game type content. Again, this is strictly focused on the defensive type champions. If I miss anything, leave in the comment below and just wait and let me know what you guys thought about your best gear that you're looking for, or if I missed anything, you guys can leave it in the comments below. So first, what is a defensive type champion looking for? Really, they're looking just to take hits, like as many hits as possible, and survive. There has to be a curve, which I found out recently. If you're really, really defensive with not a lot of HP, you still die. And I think a great example is your clan boss teams. Like a lot of us really focus on our defense to survive the clan boss. But if we don't have enough HP, we're going to die still. All right, there's just so many defensive type champions in here that are just so good. All right, so let's pull out some epics. So we always start this one. We're going to go all the way at the top, and we're going to just compare and tell you my insight, my suggestion on what type of gear set you're going to be looking for your defensive type champions. All right, so going all the way back up to the top, because this is our third time doing this. Life. So life is good if you hit your defensive goal. In Clan Boss, a defensive team, you really want to get up to as close to 4,000 as possible for your defense to survive those hits. After you get to that 3,500, 4,000 defense, everything else should be focused on HP. If I can get around 50,000 HP with 4,000 defense, I have a very, very good defensive champion for the Clan Boss and really anywhere else in this game. They're going to survive a lot longer. They're going to be able to get healed up. They're not going to get one-shotted by the Clan Boss. Like it is a good combo getting that HP and defense at the same exact time. So some of these gear sets we're going to go over are going to have HP in it, and that's exactly the reason why. So a champion like, I guess a weird example is Umbral Chantress. Umbral Chantress is a champion that just needs defense because she does a lot of damage. Also, she places an unkillable buff on herself, so she doesn't necessarily need as much HP as another champion that doesn't have unkillable, because as she's unkillable, you can heal her back up if she has enough defense to survive most of the hits. But notice that I do have a little bit more HP on her than just defensive sets. But let's start at the top. So HP set, again, I don't have a lot of it because we got rid of it. It's more of a beginning type set. But this could be an easy 2-piece set to put on your guys to get an extra 15% HP. Now, again, I don't usually keep these because there's better sets at the bottom, newer sets that heal you at the same exact time, which is the Immortal set that we have right here. But honestly, I could probably sell these. It's just I don't know why I kept them, because then maybe they're 16 and this is a speed set just to kind of, at least I have 2 to keep that. So let's go over it. Defense, nothing with attack benefits defense type champions. Always ignore attack. Like if you have attack in your stats, you try not to roll it, but sometimes you get the roll. But ignore the attack, you don't really need it. This, obviously, very good set. Defense builds up your defense in the game, but also lets you hit harder. So the more defense you have, the less you get hit, the less damage you take, but also the more damage you output. So that's why defensive champs are so good and so sought after, because you're kind of scaling their defense and attack at the same exact time. So defensive sets are good. It's a 2-piece set, so if you need that extra defense on your champions, pretty good set to start out with. Speed, very good. Speed can be good for a lot of different pieces, but defensive, like they still want to be pretty quick. Like there's a lot of defensive champions that are slow, but there's a lot of defense champs that are really fast. And the faster they go, the more times they get to go, heal themselves, all that stuff. What's a good defensive champion that we get? So Alton, 2-piece speed. Rosin, another amazing free champion for defensive, 2-piece speed. You just want them to make sure they're at least going to attack at least once, right? So Kantra, very good champion. I guess she didn't really need the speed. But these champions, they're starting with like 91, like that's really slow, so you need that 2-piece set. So some defense champions are slow, so you need that extra speed. So this 2-piece speed set always going to help out with that. You get that extra 12% speed on top of that. So very good piece to kind of throw on that 4-piece set that you need for the defensive champion. Crit rate, there are some champions in here that are defensive nukers. Rosin is a good example of that. He hits really freaking hard. He's a defensive champion that can nuke, again, really hard. Kantra, another one. She's a 3-hitter that just can nuke. So if you want to get them up to as much crit damage or crit rate as possible, because crit damage means nothing if you don't have the crit rate, Iron Brago, another good champion that is a defensive champion that adds to your defense on your team, but he also hits hard. So you want him to get up to 100% crit rate with a lot of crit damage. So if you need that extra crit rate here, great example right there, extra crit rate. This, again, same thing. A lot of defensive champions in this game hit really hard because you're scaling, like you're making them tanky, but also hit really, really hard at the same time. So crit damage could be good on a defensive type champion if you're going for the damage output. Accuracy, same thing. So this accuracy set right here, which gives you speed as well as accuracy, I started using a lot more than this basic accuracy set, but this helps you land your debuffs. On the clan boss, most of our defensive champions have debuffs that we brought him in for to land. Rosin has decreased defense and weaken. He also strips the clan boss's skills, so he needs that accuracy. So the accuracy, you need over 220 for your clan boss. So if you need that, like let's say you didn't have a good banner for it, or you couldn't get accuracy in your neck piece, and there weren't a lot of substats, just throw an accuracy set on them. 2-piece set, real quick, just throw it on. Now you have an extra 40 accuracy on top of all the other skills, right? So this is a good set for a defensive type champion. This is great for PvE, PvP. So you really didn't start needing resistance until you get to Doom Tower Hard. Doom Tower Hard, you're going to want to try and resist some of the debuffs that the bosses throw at you, but mainly this is going to be used for PvP. I don't use a ton of defensive champs in PvP right now because I don't really have them. But Sile is a great example of a defensive type champion that I use as a support type champion because most of her skills are kind of support. I built her with as much resistance and speed as possible that I could get for her. So she's up to 535 resistance. With Lydia as a lead, she's over 600 resistance. And that was kind of my goal, is I just want her to not get debuffed. So resistance set, very good for PvP. And that's really what I use my Sile for, that and Doom Tower. So if she is not getting debuffed in Doom Tower, she's able to actually use her skills, which a Reser, you don't want to be debuffed. And she can also help control the waves as well. So that's a great example of a person in a defensive group that really wants a resistance set. Lifesteal, I love Lifesteal. For clan boss, your defensive type champions, most of them aren't going to be healing with their skills, so they need that Lifesteal set, which 30% of the damage that they deal, which they do pretty good damage, they're healing back. So they're taking less hits because they're defensive, and then they also heal back based off the damage that they do. So Lifesteal set is one of the best sets you can get in the game for clan boss. Still, I have champions in my clan boss team that all they have are Lifesteal. I know Draco is attack, but he has Lifesteal. Those champions are perfect for Lifesteal. This is also great for faction wars. So if you have defensive champions that are dying too soon, put on Lifesteal. Doesn't hurt, right? They get to heal themselves back up. I guess a great example would be the dwarf faction wars. If you have right here, she used to have a Lifesteal set because she needed it. For faction wars, I didn't really have a really good dwarf healer. So putting your defensive type champions in Lifesteal sets are a really good way to beat faction wars. Is just bring defensive champions with Lifesteal set, and then you should be good to go. And support champions, obviously. So damage increases, HP decreases. Really good for PvP, but not so much as PvE, because there's just so many better sets, 4-piece sets in the game than a Fury set. One of the worst debuffs in the game is sleep. Once they get hit, they are now not sleeping anymore. So I only have these really just to kind of level up and then sell. Again, skip over this. This is very good for defensive type champions because a lot of the defensive type champions have provokes. They can take hits, and usually they don't have as much HP as other champions, so they're going to be targeted. Even though they have a crap ton of defense, they're going to be targeted first because they don't have a lot of HP, and that's kind of how the AI thinks: is the more HP, they don't target you. The more defense you have, they still want to go after you. So this is a very good set for defensive type champions because as you get hit, you have a 20% chance of placing a freeze debuff, and our masteries, we can actually get something down here that gives you an extra 5% chance on top of that to place a stun, sleep, freeze, fear, true fear, and provoke. So most of our defensive champions are going to be going down to this fearsome presence in our masteries. So that 20% chance now gets boosted up to a 25% chance to freeze the attacker, which, yes, they take less damage if they're frozen, but at least it's CC, right? Even if 4 out of 5 of them get frozen, now you can focus on the one that's not frozen who doesn't have the frost on them, right? So this is a good set for faction wars, for defensive type champions. I used it on another dwarf who's a level 50. Where is he? This guy. So we had it on the frost set on our defensive type champion. He placed a provoke, like 100% chance to place a provoke, so everybody gets provoked. Then they all attack him. And as they attack him, they freeze. So very good person. People that have provokes love the frost set. It's a very good set for defensive type champions. This one, 10% turn meter, every 5% HP lost. Again, kind of the same as the Fury set. Not really sought after by defensive type champions, more like HP type champions or support type champions or stuff like that. This one, I'm not a huge fan of this set. I'd rather have the immortal set that heals me as well as gives me more HP, and it's a 4-piece set. Like 4-piece sets, they're competing against every other 4-piece set out there. This just doesn't do my fancy. This one, very good. So PvP, you're going to be needing the immunity set if you really want to get up to the platinum, but it's very good for like an arbiter that boosts up your team. Hegemons, like they're always going to go first no matter how fast you are, so this just ignores hegemons. So this is good for PvP. This, very good. So a lot of defensive type champions. Some of them start with pretty high HP. But if you, like, I guess a great example would be this guy right here. So I'm going to put a shield set on anybody who has 23,000 HP or higher. If they don't have over 23,000 HP, I kind of like second guess it because they're not going to, their HP isn't going to scale as much on lower HP type champions. But this guy, like this defensive type champion, look how much HP he starts with. What? I don't have a Mountain King, or I'd show him off. But 27,000 HP starting off, 1,300 defense starting off, hundreds. Like this guy's base stats is stupid. 90 resistance. I have to re-give this guy. This guy's just so good in a shield set. He's just so good because that 27,000 HP scales so much off your HP boosts. And the more defense you get, the more tanky. Like he is gonna skyrocket your. So shield sets are definitely going to be good for champions that have that HP, and you really kind of want to pair them because like a defensive type champion that could also give you a shield set is just bringing two things to the table. So what else is after the shield? Relentless set's always good. Like I think Relentless set could be literally used for any type of class. Who would be a good example of a Relentless set? Anybody that has like skills that you want to go constantly. Sile, defensive type champion that has a passive that can heal you every single time she goes. So if she keeps proccing Relentless, she's a reser, defensive type champion, and she can heal at the same exact time, plus put a stun out and decrease speed. Like perfect example of somebody that you want in a Relentless set as a defensive type champion. Who else could be good? Brogni, again, anybody that you want to do damage as well as support, like puts out stuns, provoke, decrease attack on an AoE. Like, he is also another good example of somebody that could be good in a Relentless set. Who else? I don't have a ton of defensive champions out. I think he's a reser, but he could be good in a Relentless set. Like, he's a support reser, defensive type champion, kind of like Style, but increases defense, decreases attack on an AoE, puts out provoke, reses. Like, again, just good champion that could be on a support or Relentless. I think another good one, Grush. He does a lot of stuff for your team. Leech, decrease attack, heals. Sand/Survivor, another good Relentless set. Another really good person. I don't know why I didn't have her. I don't know if she's support or defense. She might be support. Defense, there you go. So another defensive type champion that has support type capabilities, but she's a reser. She increases the buff duration. She decreases enemy buffs. She heals a lot. Like, the more time she goes, it just benefits your team so much. So another champion that is really good in a Relentless set, who happens to be defense. So you build up her defense while also building up her HP and speed, and just putting a Relentless set on her, she's going to be so good. Like, so good. I should probably gear this up to 16 to make her faster. Okay, Savage set, also another very good set for defensive type attack champions. Just because in PvP, a lot of people build defense in PvP. So if you just ignore it, you can do a lot more damage. So defensive type champions that have a Savage set on, they do a lot of damage. I don't know if I built anybody recently with a Savage set, but a lot of my resistance team, like, I guess example would be if I brought, crap, where is he? Oh, okay, here we go. So Sand/Survivor, I put her in a Savage set because she was in my resistance team. So I built her with crit rate, crit damage, and Savage as a defensive type champion. So if we have her with like Iron Brago or somebody to increase her defense, she's increasing like a crap ton of damage by increasing her defense, and she's in Savage, so she ignores the enemy defense. So she just does a lot of damage. But champions like that you brought to the team specifically to do damage, you're going to want to put a Savage set on it. So again, Savage set could be good for a lot of type people. Not so much support, but attack, defense, and HP type champions. So this is great for Scarab King. That's about it. Sunset, another great CC set that you can use for people that have AoEs. So any defensive type champions that have like a really quick AoE or multiple attack AoE, I guess Sile, I had a stun set on her for a very long time, but she has a attack all enemies twice. Each hit has a 20% chance of placing a stun, so already has a chance to place a stun. You put a stun set on top of that, she stuns everybody. Like, you just give her a ton of accuracy and speed, and she's controlling every single wave that you bring her in. You also get down to the mastery, down to here, which increases the stun chance. So it goes from a 18% up to a 23%. 23% chance to stun twice, plus her skill. Like, so good and hilarious in a stun set. Anybody that has AoE, like, this person could be a lot. If you bring it down to 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, could provoke, decrease attack, and stun at the same exact time. Great. Who else? She has attacks all enemies and attacks all enemies, so 2 chances to place a stun. But she kind of already does her own thing with the provoke and unkillable. But those are some examples that you can have a defensive type champion that have AoEs that can put out stuns and control the waves and also do damage at the same exact time. So there you go. And now let's go into, again, not the best. This is only for unkillable clan boss, like if you wanted them to do more damage by poison. This is pretty good. So 30% chance of placing a provoke debuff. So it's a 4, again, anytime you see a 4 set, you're competing against every other 4 set out there. So I'd probably only put this on somebody that can already provoke, or once they get provoked, like let's say if they get attacked, they heal their team or whatever it may be. This is kind of what the set that you want to be using. I don't have the champion now, but the guy who anytime he gets hit, he heals the team. That's a great, like he doesn't have provoke innately. This could give you a chance to provoke. So pretty good set for defensive type champion. 45% chance to counterattack when hit with a critical hit. Only really good for, I guess, somebody that you AoEs, like AoE A1 is, this would be good because if they do a lot of damage and they get hit, they can then counterattack and hit all the enemy champs at the same exact time. This is very good for the clan boss, very good for Doom Tower hard, having them take less damage. They're already going to take less damage because they're defensive type champions and they have a lot of defense, but add an extra 30% less damage on top of that, they're not taking any damage. Like, it's so good for AoEs, even in PvP. Most of my champs that I was doing Doom Tower hard 120, I put them in a stalwart set, so that way they just take less damage from the dragon. And I think all the dragon does is AoEs. So that's kind of why it's so good. 40% chance to reduce a random skill cooldown. Again, this is good for champions that don't have a lot of skills. So people that maybe have 2 skills, like I know Stag Knight support, but he has 2 skills. So reducing this is what that artifact set does. It just reduces the cooldown of a random skill. So if you only have 2 skills, it's only going to reduce the 1. This one attacks or ignore because your defense. This one very good. So again, I was talking about that balance. Once you get up to a certain defensive type, everything above that it's kind of like pointless. So you want to have a lot more HP with your defense. So if you're try aiming for around 45, 50k HP and 4,000 defense, you're almost unkillable. If you do that combo, it's just so good. And how to get to that combo is this set right here. You get an extra 15% HP plus heal 3% every turn, so it just makes you survive longer. Imagine a really tanky defensive champion that just heals himself every single turn. So again, this is a very, very good set. That's why I have so many of them. This set, ignore. This set, not the best unless you really need that extra crit rate. Again, this is kind of the same as the one above, but it doesn't heal you. This just gives you HP and a shield. This is pretty good if you need that extra speed. Plus, it gives you a shield every single round. This is definitely one of the best sets for PvP. So I would put this on, if I have this, I'd probably put it on more of like a support champion that can res. But if I have it on a champion that can res, then I'll also add it to my defensive side champion. So again, very, very good. This is also very good. So I saw this on a Necret guy. So Necret has the Shared Ally Protect. He's a defensive type champion. Like, he's just very good. But he gets an extra 20% HP, 20% defense, and 25% chance to deflect 1 debuff onto the attacker. So anytime like somebody tries to put a debuff on you, you kind of 25% chance just to deflect it without even trying. So this is probably one of the best sets you can put on a defensive type champion. Also very good 2-piece set. So if you just need an extra 2-piece set, like let's say you have a 4-piece Relentless and you just need an extra 10% HP and 10% defense, this also a very good set. You can forge these. This, again, another good set. 40 accuracy, 5% speed. Defensive champions love this if they have the skills for it. So like this guy, he needs the accuracy. So I think he has this set. Yeah, 40 accuracy, 5% speed, because he lands a leech. He does decreased attack, crit damage, and heals the team. So he needs the accuracy for these 2 skills, but he's defensive type champion. So that set right there, one of my favorites, because it's a 2-piece. So it gives you speed and accuracy at the same exact time. This, I don't really highly recommend the set. Try not to waste too much effort on it. This one, very good, because it gives you the extra 40 resist on top of the immunity. So we already talked about the immunity before. This one, ignore. This one I think is very good, like the Frost set. It's only 2-piece set. So if you bring 3 of these, you have a 45% chance to block freeze and 30% chance to place a freeze debuff on the attack. You can combine this with other sets. So let's say you go a stun set and this set, you're like a CC god, right? So you have just an extra 10% chance if you get attacked to place a freeze. So provoke champions love this. Champions that go fast love this. Champions that are the ones targeted, so defensive type champions love this. So this is a very good set. I have to actually get more of these to kind of test it out and really build it. So there goes are sets that we're really looking for defensive type champions. The accessories down the bottom, we'll go over those, but really, if you can guess, it's really whatever you need. So if I have accessories down here, if you're a defensive type champion, you haven't hit your defensive mark yet, go with the defensive ring with substat defense. This is a very good ring for him. If that was only HP percentage, it'd be even better. This, most of the time, you're going to be defensive. If you're a damage dealer, like I guess our Rosin would be, he's a clan boss. He hit his defensive goal, so we went with crit damage for this. But really, again, these accessories are whatever you need most. So if you hit your defensive goal, put up more HP. So I guess it would be him. I think we went, yeah, HP, and then accuracy just so we can land his debuffs. But he's a defensive champion who I needed more HP for so that we didn't just get nuked by the bosses. So if I bring Iron Brago in here, Iron Brago is bringing an extra 600 defense. So he's up to 3,200 defense starting out, plus increased defense, and then I needed more HP so we could survive. So again, whatever you need down here is what I would go with. But the banner, accuracy is great for defense champions that have debuffs, obviously, but HP would be fine. Defensive would be also very good, but really you're looking for the speed. Anything that has speed in the substats, that's kind of what you're aiming for, because that's the only accessory that you can bring that increases your speed. So hopefully that answers your questions. So guys, that is my defensive guide on what things you should be investing into for the champions. Again, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe. We're already at 1,000 subscribers, so I appreciate all the fellow Dirtbags. Let's go DirtBag Nation. But join the Discord, because that's where we're giving away the account takeover, and we're also giving away 2 different accounts for the winners. I think they're level 50 accounts. So guys, hit the like if this helped you out. We got part 4 coming up, which is going to be the HP type champions, which is our last one. If you haven't seen the other 2 sets, go check that out. But guys, I appreciate it. There goes my dog. Good luck with everything, and we will see you in another video soon.